Welcome back, everyone. This time I'm going to be breaking down the White Dragon from Peacemaker, so there's some obvious spoilers ahead. So the White Dragon, or August Smith, is a supervillain that has shown up a little bit in comics. Basically, the White Dragon was a white supremacist who masqueraded as a superhero, choosing to only go after non-white criminals in an effort to make it seem like only non-white people committed crime. So this was obviously a pretty stupid plan, and he got his ass beat by some superhero. I didn't do too much research into his comic background. Anyway, let's break down how he would fight in real life based on his appearance in The Peacemaker. So this is a character that we don't really get to see do many martial arts. He's primarily a tech-based supervillain, relying on the use of his white dragon suit to fight. It's important to note that Amanda Waller stated that Smith was a soldier, so it can only be presumed that Smith had at least some basic firearms training and tactical training. Who knows, he might have been old enough to have fought in Vietnam or something, but I mean, it's also the DC universe, so they might have not even had a Vietnam War. Overall, the White Dragon is basically a discount Iron Man. His suit is strong enough to withstand at least small caliber rounds without even having much of an effect, although he is pushed back by the automatic submachine gun that was being fired at him. And he was strong enough to tank a grenade from point blank range, which is probably the best feat from the suit, with only seeming to have the wind knocked out of them. We also see that the suit was able to crash into a truck head first at a high rate of speed without taking any damage. The truck wasn't coming toward him, actually, he kind of T-boned it, but it's still pretty impressive feat. I mean, you can only imagine the neck support on that thing, right? So the White Dragon suit main weakness is that there are gaps in the armor, which, if breached, can damage the suit's ability to fly and otherwise use its powers. I also suspect that it has a somewhat limited amount of power, given that Smith spent most of his time walking around instead of flying or hovering, which would have given him a much greater advantage. For example, he probably wouldn't have been taken out from behind, or he could have had a better view. He has ranged weapons on his hands, so why not be flying? Anyway, aside from the durability, the suit provides the user enhanced strength, the ability to fly, and the ability to shoot lethal energy blasts from his wrist. This kind of technology doesn't really exist in real life, but it can be pretty easy to infer how deadly these abilities would make someone. Being able to not only fly, but maneuver midair would provide a large advantage against opponents lacking firearms or projectile weapons. The energy blasts are shown to be pretty powerful, implying that a single shot would be enough to kill a person from a somewhat decent range. He does blow through the side of a truck, which is pretty impressive. It would definitely vaporize a person. Right, Mochi? Where are you? Over there? Similar to my Deadshot analysis, shooting from the wrist, especially both wrists, is not quite as effective as using a gun. You can't aim as well because you can't really articulate your wrist the same way as you can with your hand. And if you're trying to shoot with both arms at the same time, you are going to be pretty inaccurate. Smith would probably be better off with just having a gun, but having an energy blast is also pretty good because, there's a wide dispersal range. It is deadly. And also, he doesn't have to be holding anything in his hands, so he can keep his hands free while he's flying around and hovering. This is surprisingly the first time I've gotten to speak about super strength. Now, it's not like Smith is like a Superman level villain, but he does show to have some level of increased strength because he's able to pry open the bottom of a truck. And, super strength is obviously a pretty good power to have, especially when paired with super durability. Getting close to an opponent who has super strength would be a death sentence for 99% of people. I mean, I've grappled with people who were only relatively strong for a normal person, and there were times where there was just nothing I can do. One example is I grappled this one guy who was an MMA guy. I think he'd only been training a couple of years, and he was maybe like 30 pounds heavier than me, but the guy was lean, and he didn't have much actual even jiu-jitsu experience, but literally all he did was just grab my head, and he had me like this, and he just smushed my head into his chest. There's nothing I could do. He was like this close to cracking my head like an egg, so I had to tap out. But imagine going against someone who could literally rip a truck in half. I mean, all you have to do is just any touch would be deadly. And that doesn't, it also includes strikes. That's what most people think about, like punches, kicks. And those could be, a punch could straight up knock someone's head off. I wonder how speed and I wonder how speed would kind of play into it, because usually in real life when you throw a strike, you're putting your body weight behind it. It's not necessarily you have a really strong arm and that makes your punches strong. But I think super strength would just you'd be strong enough anyway that even if you are using your body weight and you're throwing your muscle into it, I think it would still be extremely deadly. So now we can get into what I think the real weakness of the White Dragon is, and that's Smith himself. I mean, it's very clearly to tell that he's like a rather old guy. He's very slow to react. He's really not thinking things out. Like, it's kind of interesting. When I saw the Suicide Squad movie, I was under the impression that, Peacemaker's dad was basically another Peacemaker. Some guy who has, like, could fight, use a lot of firearms, was very tactically intelligent, was, like a soldier, like Peacemaker, or like Deathstroke, or, any of those guys. But it's kind of surprising that he's completely a tech-based guy, and it's pretty clear to show that he's not the best fighter. I mean, I think his age plays a big part, but you can tell he's not really pushing the momentum. He blasts the hole through the bottom of the truck. Knocks over the truck, blasts the hole through the bottom of the truck, which is really the side of the truck, and he comes in, and he just, he takes his sweet time. He doesn't kill Peacemaker right away, and then he gets backed up by bullets, which his suit can tank. So he really could have killed them both right there. He just had to go boom, boom. Or he could have just touched them, but he was pushed back by that. And when he gets a grenade thrown by his feet, and he just looks at it. He can fly. He could have at least tried to get in the air. He could have at least jumped away, but he didn't have the reaction speed to get away. And then so after that, we see that even though his suit can fly, he just walks around. I don't think he flies again after getting hit by the grenade, so maybe the grenade did enough damage to damage his suit, and he could no longer fly, but I don't know. If he was still able to move around, I'm sure the suit could still shoot its energy blasts and stuff, so I don't see why he couldn't no longer fly. I just think it was kind of stupid. He should have just been flying the whole time. He should have been hovering about 20 feet in the air, scouring the forest, following his own group who was tracking, and then he could have just flown right above Peacemaker and Vigilante and just shot them from the sky. He didn't do that, and I think it's just a mark of he wasn't necessarily super knowing what he was doing. He was more just a person who could build that kind of technology and use it, which is pretty interesting take on the character. I love how this clearly idiotic redneck racist is also shown to be so gifted on an engineering level that he could build things that we're not going to have in 100 years from now. But, it's the DC universe, and I kind of find it funny from James Gunn that he did that. So that's the end of the video. I'm going to give White Dragon an 8 out of 10. Anyone else who I've talked about who had this ability, I would probably give a 10 out of 10. Because frankly, the suit makes you so overpowered. People who are trained soldiers, they might not even have a chance to take him out. They can shoot at him, but we don't even know if high caliber rounds would really do anything. We don't really know if, short of getting hit by a rocket or I don't even know, a very high caliber round, how much damage that would relatively do to the suit. But I think it's just shown that since the suit is being controlled by someone who is not the greatest fighter, who's an old man, I think that that kind of limits him. That's why I put him at an 8 out of 10, which is extremely dangerous. He's not really going to be taken down unless someone gets the drop on him, like what happened in the show, or people really plan to take him out. But I also feel like he's not so dangerous that he warrants a 10 out of 10. You know, if Deadshot wants to kill you, you're probably going to die. If White Dragon wants to kill you, you might be able to get away from him. Because he's not the greatest at that. At tracking people down, at really being deadly itself. Alright, so that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching, and say hello, Mochi. Okay, Mochi says hello. Alright, bye-bye.